Okay, so let's start session. So I have some SNGs and I also started one 25 euro MTT tier. On the top left you can basically raise or call with the 7 check suited. And yeah, he might have the 9, but I think I have to call here, especially when I have some decent backdoors as support. Well, those didn't improve. Not that great spot. I think I call once, and if he fires third time, we can probably give up. 8-6 also did complete now. Yeah, looks pretty strong. You can argue about folding the turn, I suppose, but well, pocket fives will be pretty clear. Set mining. It was quite the weather. I was on the previous weekend on summer cottage, or whatever is the correct term in English. It was sort of stormy season. Long left, it's not actually that horrible flop because we can rep our value part of our range pretty nicely here. But he did call and we didn't turn any equity. So I think I would just give up here. There was anything like 5 deuce spade, I would have tried to double barrel, because really there is no lack of value hands range can have here. Queen 10 on the bottom left is kind of a high type of hand in a way that we have a hand that is going to be good most of the time. On the upper right, this is actually one of the better bluff combos I can have because I don't block either of the flush draws. Flush draws villain could have, so I'm more happy to bluff that combo compared to any busted. I think I have to call or don't have to call, but my range does look somewhat, or hand does look somewhat weak. Weak still. And in general, you want to think about like, yeah, sometimes I can have like king, some of the king, for example, weakest king X uh, tier, but still big portion of time I would be c betting those on the flop, so I don't really have that many better holdings overall. Yeah, there is not too much value probably in betting on the top right. I mean, there might be some, but I think it's fine to just check back. I've actually played this 25 euro deep impact quite often. It starts in good timing for my usual session. But mostly have been playing SNGs. Decided to just check on the upper right. Small blind usually won't hit that easily on that flop, but big blind will be hitting quite easily, and yeah, we didn't have much ways to improve here. Backdoor flush draw, of course, and possible top pair, but not really mandatory c-bet. And the top left wheel lane raise is way too small, so I pretty much have to call. And turn is pretty crappy for my range. On the outer table I seem to be managing to miss pretty much every flop. And on the bottom left it's pretty clear. Pretty clear 3-bet, and if he would happen to 4-bet it's a bit ugly, but we actually hit the straight here. This lead is pretty weird looking, to be honest. On the bottom right, kind of awkward against the pot size bet with one player behind. I think my hand might be a bit too strong to really fold right away either. Well, bottom left is really about like, do you believe this guy? Yeah, some pocket pair is possible, I suppose, but especially if he fires the river, it's really weird. Like if he had, I would really like to call that, which seems pretty spooky, but Really spooky. Okay, he had actually hit this full house. But I was thinking like if he had some sort of pocket 8 or pocket 10s, that is he going to fire the river anymore anyway with that sort of hand? But yeah, maybe it was pretty stupid overall. And yeah, on the bottom right I have like botsas behind, so well, we can rebuy on the bottom left. And well, let's just go for c-bet on the top left. Pretty crappy turn card. Problem is that even against that sizing, I think I have to call anyway because I have so many outs. Thing is that I didn't expect too much fold equity by betting on that turn, so decided to go for check and hope he checks behind. And just shoving the river because if he has like queen X or something, he's definitely calling. But yeah, it was kind of unfortunate, I suppose, that he hit the full house here on the bottom left, because I would imagine that most people wouldn't barrel like pocket tens here, especially on the king river, which is a bit scary, and of course I can have any big pocket here and so on. We'll see that on the bottom right. And folding on the bottom left if he fires again. actually hitting something. I could limp on the top left again, but this guy haven't been raising me single time, so I just go for the raise. I'm sure there is something on the top left that if it's folded, I will just go for open shove with the effective stack I have. Of course you can min raise, but it's going to be more of min raise fold and against most people. Pocket tens. Did he limp that? Probably. I called. Just called here. I just check behind with the top weakish top pair because it's not really hand I want to bet river anyway, and at least I made possibility that he check raises turn by checking it here. Well, pretty decent start for the session, at least on the SNG side. Nice hero spew on the TT. Yeah, it was just, in my opinion, at least pretty weird spot to be donk betting in general, of course. Of course, especially recreational players tend to do weird stuff overall. Because the thing is that when I 3-bet pre-flop and flop comes like that, it doesn't make, like, sensible player wouldn't really be donk betting anything in my opinion, so the chances that Willen is just doing some weird airball stuff is pretty high as well. I go for min raise with the king jack and will be calling against these two shorter stack. €25 getting started as well. This queen is obviously stack off against 14 pp. Of course that Willen line did look extremely strong, but only 14 pp deep, so I'm not really going to be folding. pretty sort of dry flop on the bottom right. And it's not really a high that I want to be check calling at either, because chances to improve are pretty slim, so decided to cheap it and try to take the pot down, but unfortunately not. Total garbage on the MTT. I just went for min raise on the top left because this is €10 game and it's pretty clear, like in the Nash you can definitely shove and it's, in theory it's pretty much the optimal play, but the problem is that if the real lane, if the second the mid stack makes some stupid sort of calls, it's not really that awesome necessarily. And this guy limps. We want to ISO raise here and try to get into heads up. Most of the time he's not going to be folding, but and yeah, not set, and he donks bet once again. Well, this time it's min bet. Let's call and see if the miracle happens and we actually hit 4 or something. And lost the flip on the top left. Fairly standard play, I would say. And I can't really fold top pair on the top left. Bottom right, shoving is definitely plus EV. Of course you can also limp. It's not like fist bump shove spot in a way, because we were almost 20 PP deep, but it's definitely plus EV anyway. There's pretty much no doubt about that. I think pretty much any calling range is fine for the will lane. And suited king definitely shoving, most of the time at least. That stack decked. I try to min raise with the pretty crappy hand, because the stack setup is it's going to be pretty nice for me to try to bully the bubble situation. Kind of same situation on top left, that I had that hand into small raising range. I can easily fold it. This is again kind of non-believable, but let's give up. Let's give up this time. Not do anything really fancy. Yeah, like the 9-10, you can, the limping is for example decent option, but it's just that think I go for donk shove here on the top left because I have the double gutshot overcard, so definitely not. Definitely can't be really check folding either. So that way we can probably create some fold equity anyway. Well, in MTT definitely defending and completely missing. Seems like this guy really likes those donk bets. Well, let's just check back. This would be reasonable hands to raise small as well. Basically to balance those times I have some really strong stuff. And 5-6 4 BP deep will be shoving hand. So in the NAS it's pretty much break even probably, but well, if he talked about with the ace-8, I don't know if it was just action in other tables perhaps, but should have been at least insta-snap decision. The other table, I think with the button calling, which is going to be most of the time dead chips on the pot, so it improves my pot odds a little bit, so I will go with that, but it's pretty much the bottom of my range here. And losing to ace jack with the ace queen. Oh well. That wasn't my bubble. Let's go for min raise. It has some downsides, obviously, but has also great postal playability, so it's overall fine that way as well. And dominating on tier as well, but losing. Running good to bubble, but then not as good. I actually have €25 game already in registration. Queen 9 is a bit too weak on the top right, even in the NAS. Well, what's I think the main question is that is his range like really trap heavy when he makes that sort of play. Pot odds are absurdly good, so it's kind of tough to fold. And just calling here, basically only ace or king are like not that great turn cards. By calling I allow him to be bluffing if he happens to be doing that. With the half pots remaining or a little less, I think I just go for shove here and won't give him the possibility to get the free river. He might have better sometimes, but I decided to parallel the top left, like getting some 10x, 5x, some other draws to fold. Top pair probably not folding. Definitely shoving against clear mid stack on the bottom right. And let's go for the light raise on the top left. Kind of nice spot stack wise against the sort of second stack. And ace-3 will be calling hand, the even stacks and then big blind. Oh well, nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. Well, again defendable hand on the bottom left. Got shot. Well, let's hope for pre-turn. Didn't help. I kind of doubt I have enough fold equity to laugh with playing gut shot against two people here, so. Bottom right will be any two spot if the button folds. And 3 PP open would be kind of expensive to go for. 3 bets, so just fold. Let's hope the big blind won't make any stupid calls. Well, let's ISO raise with the queen jack suited. At least we have great post-flop playability. Hopefully we get into post-flop. Well, at least it looks like we have the best hand, and he can definitely have a lot of draws, so think I raise here and call off if he happens to shove. Ace queen. Limp calling. Yeah, not the greatest hand with the 5-3, but I think it's still kind of okay to defend. No, he actually had the ace. Let's just check the king high. Jack 7 off. Then as it would be like okay. Calling hand. Well, let's go. I think I shove on the top left and hope he finds call with some sort of two pair. So it's pretty unlikely that he does, but like I think if he calls against small bet here is decent chance that he, or small raise, decent chance that he would call the shove as well. Well, let's take the free card and see if we turn some equity on the upper right. Well, this time I have clear value hand against the Mr. Limper guy. And three-way pot with the A-high. Never too great. Oh, what happened here? Okay. And unfortunately lost on the 25 euro. Well, let's go for the shove on the top left. Should be sort of okay. Queen 8 shooter, pretty much mandatory call. Okay, looks pretty strong when he raises against two people. Usual heads up run. Great pot odds on the bottom left, but 10-5 offsuit on three-way pot is not going to be that playable most of the time. And well, let's go with the call and nudge on the bottom right. just check calling on the top left because there really ain't like sensible semi-bluff range, semi-bluff hands on my range pretty much, so. Yeah, it seems like Tuesday is sort of silent day, as I mentioned previously. So maybe changing the streaming day would make sense. Like 25 euros, but not running at all basically at this point. Not sure how long there is the late registration. 11 levels. At what level is it now? Now it's actually after that blind level. Check back on the top right because I had the backdoor flush draw with my A high, so there is more turn cards I can be calling, and the turn will ended bet, but it was min bet, so I can't be really folding. Well, maybe we get a chance to double up on the bottom left. I could have also shoved, but basically both has min raise and shove has good and bad sides. Well, of course it's some crappy flop. That's the downside of min raising. Pocket 7 is kind of crappy hand to call on the bottom right because I'm basically blocking. I basically have the maximum blockers against the semi-bluffing hands. Lane could have. Of course, there is some chance that he's actually value betting like 6x or something here. And pretty clear shove on the top right. It's clear small stack. So I think it would be add on the bottom left on the MTT after that blind level. There is actually 4 people in the 50 euros, so maybe I wait and see if if it starts. Want that new 10 euro. Again, pretty crappy turn card, even though it did open my flush draw. Well, I think I have enough implied odds to call it here. Try to hit my flush. Because if he has the ace, here is definitely implied value. He didn't have that time. Got shot here, we could actually raise. I don't really like calling in a way that the Willem is probably going to min bet again and so on. And I have been pretty passive against his plays so far, so there could be a decent chance that we get some respect at least. History off would be min raise. I think if this guy limps again, I probably just fold because this ain't really that great hand overall, especially when he basically limps always when he plays, so he can definitely have big hands as well. And I think he haven't been limp folding single time so far. But I'm right again, kind of spot that there is not too much point in c-betting. There's no flush draw, but there is like 6 ton of possible straight draws. Let's just check back on the top right, mix in some traps here. We can definitely like bet 180 here, and if he calls, we can get around pot size for the river still. Now we actually have a ton of semi or good amount of semi draws we could have on the turn. A7 will be pretty strong hand on the top right, considering the stack situation as well. Top set, well, this is the most classic check back hand on the flop. Because we basically block almost all the possibilities for him to have the top pair. And this way we can balance that our checking range has some monster as well. After being pre-flop aggressor, but he doesn't start betting, so let's bet for ourselves 10. No action, that That's a problem when you hit that well. Okay, it seems like the 50 euro didn't start. I think the add-on period should be after that. The outer table, open days queen. I think shoving is sort of mandatory. Mandatory tier. Folding would be totally nitty. And set up on the top left. This guy has been limp folding huge amount of time, but yeah, I think I just checked back the 9-8. It has pretty decent post playability as well. And 7 PP on the upper right, so it's around bottom of the NAS range, maybe a bit outside of it. Calling with 6-4 is something totally absurd. Yeah, usually I wouldn't shove king 7 on the upper right, but I think we are getting so many folds against this guy that it's likely, clearly plus EV. And this time we actually hit the nuts on the bottom right. What? 2 pairs. Okay. That's pretty funny. Like the villain has basically bluff catcher and he value bets it. Pretty funny stuff. And 10 calls against the Grays. Maybe not the best possible option. And with bit less than 20 PP, open shoving small pocket pair is definitely plus EV. Oh well, losing flip. not really great hand. Well, he actually limps. We probably don't have fold equity, so let's see the flop, and this one we can actually give up. Unfortunately, pair on the flop, so 3 pairs wasn't enough. And losing flip on the top left. And bottom left will be shove unless this guy 3 bets, which probably won't happen. And here checked flop c-bet or delayed c-bet turn really small, and let's bet again pretty small on the river. Hope he goes with a high, and hopefully he doesn't check raise. This guy really likes his limping on the top right. Well, it seems like it wasn't add-on period yet. Re-entries available for first 12 levels, so it's actually still for this level. Buying in registration wasn't available anymore, but and if it's folded to me and the big blind is sitting out still at that point, I will try to min-raise steal. X-deuce was good, well he came back, so I won't try with that one. Yeah, just calling with the pocket threes because we are like over 30 pp deep without ending, so I don't really want to 3-bet shove either. And mandatory call on the flop with mid pair, and we actually hit the trips. We want to try to get value, so it's going to be pretty tough usually, like maybe some queen X calling. 10-8 is too good for me to limp fold. Okay, some action to 25 euro, please. And not calling it three-way, but with the crappiest possible pair. No redraw. Then queen will be, well, I suppose it's fine either way. Has nice post-flop playability, so just checking and going for post-flop is a decent option as well. But at the same time, this guy might still be folding huge amount of time, so and yeah, even if he has been passive, I think like 5 big blind deep, suited queen is just too good. Like in the mass it would be up to 9 big blinds. I wouldn't call 9 big blinds against him, but with just 5 BB, it's definitely reasonable call. There seems to be some sort of new promotion going on. I think I played yesterday like 7 or 8 or something like that. These keys they give, but didn't really. I think I didn't win, or did I win like 2 free roll tickets or something? I think the rewards were pretty crappy looking when I checked it some days ago, or was it yesterday? Min raising from the small blind with deep stack. Not really a combination you want to use. And on the bottom left I won't accept too much fold equity by shoving in general, so if no one 3-bets I will call and see the flop. And missing it. Have some back doors, but I can't really, even against that sizing, I think it's, and especially with the stack depth I have behind, really can't continue. If the bottom guy limps, I think like he limps so much that I think I just go for it here. Of course completing is another option. pretty stupid because it doesn't. I think it doesn't tell anywhere that when the add-on is coming. I suppose there was one, probably. Well, I think it's pretty much always so. But well, let's see if one comes at some point. Well, 5-10 is pretty crappy. It could be plus EV as well, but it's not. It's not going to be much plus EV probably anyway. And king for suited is actually, I think I can try to limp against this guy, so it's like sort of perfect stack spot for him to raise against me here, but oh well. Had been passive guy before, so well, let's give credit. Hopefully he doesn't at least limp fold here. And that's why you don't induce with the king 4 off. Total garbage. I think I go for even with any 2 range with the 4 big blinds. Because this guy is fish, so he might easily be a bit too tight anyway. And 5 outer hitting. Pocket 4s. I think it's going to be a bit too weak to call. And ahead on the top left, and 8 is playing still, I think. Well, now if the small blind shoves, well, not anymore, but against the small blind I would have probably called even that. The antes, I think it's at least very close to any two spot. And he wakes up with the kings. Oh well. And Mr. Limper once again limping on the right side, so this would have been decent open shoving hand, but probably get shove when the bottom limps here. A lot of 10-euro games running, but no higher ones it seems. And quite money printing spot on the bottom left overall. Of course the guy can have strong stuff or people can wake up behind, but in the long run, what profit with that sub? And he goes with the weaker one and hits. Jesus. Oh well, poker can be shitty sometimes. No, I don't want to watch the tournament. Go for check call. Because like if you see bet, basically pretty much no better hand is going to fold, but and also not too many weaker hands are going to call, so it doesn't make too much sense. Of course, it might stop situation to get into this sort of stuff. King, queen. Well, luckily I won that guy, so I think I still got some profit from the hand. Quite a bet on top left, 6 times the pot. Well, pretty decent c-bet hand on the top right in a way that we have decent, decent amount of turn cards that can be second barreled. Well, let's just fold because the big blind has 10 big blind, so I can't really raise call against him, but there is some extra risk that he shows. Well, 6 wasn't really the card I was hoping for. Tiny bit better hand than mine. And against 5 big blinds, the buttons should have really wide range, so I go for ISO, so it's probably pretty marginal. I think it's pocket jacks. Kind of funny. Should have wide range, turns out, with monster. Well, I need to be ahead 1 out of 8 times. And he had hit the random queen. And min bet with it. I thought that he might bet bigger. Decent amount of time if he actually has the queen. Let's go for 3 bet on the bottom left. I think this guy has been doing some well, let's call with the king 7. We actually have some showdown value. Pretty much same logic on the bottom right on the turn. Well, he had the ace. And we actually have double gut shot on the bottom right. 9 or queen. Well, great pot odds anyway. I go for half pot on the top left because this guy checked the flop, so it will be decreasing the AX combos he can have. I think 5 jack is probably too strong to. Well, let's give up. Problem is that he probably has something decent amount of time and better a made hand that he raises is mostly going to be better hand, which is going to crush my hand, and or if he has some flush draw, it's going to be pretty easily ahead equity wise anyway. And he could have any like straight 2 pairs when it was limp spot. But again, he sums over 20 BP. And 25 euro might be stopping quickly. But yeah, I won't be folding pocket jacks on the pretty much second hand of the game. Well, outcome was good this time. And once again his house. Well, that's one way. One way. Well, we turn the flush draw, but 5 is kind of, because I don't see king to usually fold either, so I think I just check here and hope the flush hits, and we might be a decent amount of time good. And we can allow him to be bluffing if he happens to have some sort of float or something. It's weird when they bet like hand like that. Is he bluffing or value betting in his own mind here? He can't even value bet against a weaker king, so I suppose it must be for value, I mean for bluff, probably. But like in my opinion, it's sort of too strong hand to be bluffed with probably. Even if it's, well, it's actually quite probably bottom of his range pretty much, but I mean it still has pretty decent showdown value. And just trying to check down. We have decent showdown value with the queen high. I wouldn't defend all the king X against 2.5 pp open on the top bottom left, but I think 7 kicker is high enough that it will give enough postal playability, but I would fold like crappiest offsuit kings against the 2.5 pp open. Against min raise I would most of the time call all the king X or 3-bet some of them. I think I can try to value bet the second pair with the top kicker on the top left. He might have the top pair sometimes, but I'm actually pretty surprised that he has that strong top pair. Would imagine people value betting turn often. And aces on the outer table have been betting flop and turn and shoving the river. Unfortunately folded. And deuces is pretty much, well, I could make non-all-in I suppose, but all-in is pretty mandatory here. On the bottom left I will go for turn bet here. It's again spot where I would expect most of the better hands to lead the turn, and we definitely have some solid value in protection with almost any river card bringing over cards to pocket fives. And king 8 off with the stack depth we have. I think it's around break even. And pretty crappy flop on the top right. I think it just hits way too easily for the villain range. But have to call with against the min bet. We might be good sometimes as well. And pocket 8s I will go for shove as well. Jack 9 should have been open shove, but well, after making that awesome 3x, I suppose I have to call against shove because of the pot odds. Oh well, awesome turn card at the bottom right. Or she might be bluffing some portion of the time. But we block some of those possible bluffing candidates as well. And it's not really, unless we happen to hit the queen, it's not really going to be nice river decisions. King was good on the bottom, not on the bottom left it seems. Was checking like, okay, it was good, but in here, pretty nice looking situation. Let's hope no hearts can come. At least ace was kind of crappy as well. I definitely want to use we just call and give him the rope to hang himself. Ah, it was huge setup. That was huge setup. Can't really. Well, raise was fine on the misclick raise was fine on the other table. Nuts everywhere. Well, I think I see bet on the bottom right because Lil Lane doesn't usually have much AX here. Let's take the €50. €50 or well, well, maybe we get out of that game. Hopefully not, but. So now on the top right, it's more of going to be more of trying to survive through the bubble. Oh, Jesus. Well, I suppose I have to fold that. The outer table. This guy is total weirdo, so I might be ahead, but it's still 4 times the pot on the bubble. Lucky as on the outer table at ace king and flops the nuts on queen jack 10 and he managed to hit the gut shot with his lane a high. Well, I think then jack shooter is bit outside. Profitable call. Well, winning the fucking heads up seems to be totally impossible. And yeah, I see that here, check the flop and we'll call against this guy. And he had pretty questionable hand to continue against the flop c-bet. And set up on the upper right. Oh well, shitload of setups at least. Well, it seems like we finally got some action for the 25 euro ones. And we hit the trips. This guy probably don't shoves. And hopefully no backdoor. Like when I saw that flop, it was like wet dream basically. Because I was like almost certain that he makes some sort of donk bet. So I was thinking about a bit smaller one, but that was nice. That was nice. Yeah, that's sort of reason I was seriously thinking about calling that top pair earlier when he made that 4x spot turn bet. This guy makes pretty horrendous line. Like it's sort of funny that, like the thing is that when he 4x's here, I'm not going to shove single weaker and not a single one. So when I shove, he's always going to be dominated. It's like guaranteed, unless I happen to misclick or something. The upper right, I usually don't raise these crappy AXCs if subbing is not a reasonable option. And we can definitely call on the bottom right with the gutshot against the Unibet, and 6 or 7 might be out as well. And it's decent board run on the top right. Okay, now sizing goes up. Well, let's call. I would have c-bet the flop myself as well. So, of course, it's worse situation when he leads. Let's go for the 3-bet, and I'm going to 3-bet call if he shoves, of course. And no luck. Well, let's hope for free showdown with the 10x, well now it's not anymore something to hope for. And yeah, I called with queen deuce because the guy was min 3 betting, which makes absolutely no sense. Pretty annoying looking spot on the here against this maniac. I 3-bet against him. Of course, checking the flop, c-betting wouldn't make any sense really. Yeah. Oh well. Just has to put some really annoying flop or board. Yeah, he can have, probably it's a bit weak to be honest, to be folding here, but it's like almost guaranteed that he will fire the river, and then you need to decide that do you want to. Or basically, if I call the turn, I would be calling the river a good amount of time. Blank river at least. So especially against that sort of maniac, you definitely don't want to be calling turn and folding every river outside of king or 5. Because he can have anything at all. Everything is possible. Well, that is well hidden hand, at least on the top right. So to be honest, I would have very little bluffs on that situation when I take checking line. And 5-3 will be shoving hand. And another 50 euro. And we actually won the heads up. Annoying turn. But when it goes check, I try to value bet smallish with the top 2. And pretty crappy flop on the 50 euro. Against 2 players as well. But nice, we get free showdown. And this guy has combo draw on the turn and he doesn't semi-bluff. Well, again against the same maniac, I have pocket kings on the outer table. And just calling. And he had playing gutshot. Nice villain, I have to say. And straight on the top right. Oh yeah, this is pretty much mandatory call. kind of big c-bet, but I think it's a bit too strong to fold. Because queen or jack is also going to be out good amount of time, and we might of course have the best hand as well, so pot size bet. Well, let's just go with it, and I think this guy has been sort of passive, so we might actually have something. Maybe not. I don't think he would fold 5x probably. So of course it does look pretty strong when I check raise versus the pot size bet. So far he hasn't been 3-betting much, or at least big sizing, so I can be min raising the jack 10. Should be. Tried to make 300, but accidentally min bet. Now hopefully double up ace king. He managed to hold, and definitely raising on the river with the top pair. Oh, he had the same hand. It makes sort of really small value bet on the top left. I still have 2 pairs here. And bottom pair called. He wasn't allowing small, really cheap bluff at least. And 2 pairs on the top right. And I will go for light raise on the bottom left. And cheap price on the bottom right, but there is so few possibilities to improve that I think I should have actually probably limped on the bottom left, because the guy had been pretty aggro against the limping, I think. Free turn. Hopefully villain doesn't have ace king. Of course it's possible, but yeah, I think I still go for the bet myself. Wasn't good turn on the bottom left against villain actual hand. Well, let's limp that one and stack off, obviously. Took like 1 month to call and he has ace king. Nasty setup once again. Okay. Extremely unlikely that I will win the bottom left, bottom right hand. Oh well, I beat like 6-7. Not much else probably. On the bottom left. Practical nuts on the bottom left. Yeah, I think I just shove here because there are quite a few bad river cards, and I can probably get calls from weaker stuff as well. Well, that was nice river turn. I mean, that was nice turn. Yeah, well, I don't think I can fold the king here. Oh well, thank you for the turn. Was awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Like he has been passive, so maybe folding would be reasonable, but it's pretty nitty in my opinion. And a7, I think I go for the shove. Minbet. Well, at least I can't fold against the minbets because the pot odds are so absurdly good. But I think that spot here was also a lot of busted draws that I didn't block at all pretty much, so I think calling even against the sub would be reasonable against at least against some opponents. Limping. Kind of semi-hit on the bottom right. Can we try to value bet? Like if I check, I think it's quite unlikely that either of them would often try to bluff either, so and it looks like our hand is going to be best. Huge amount of time. Of course, do we get value from weaker? That's a different question. Like Zillion out. Zillion out for the villain. That was some scary shit. And shoving the 9-6, small blind has stacked up to fold, and if the small blind folds, this guy should be folding, like, also that hand should be folding, but of course they make some stupid calls and gets rewarded for it. Oh well. Had to hit the river, or was it turn? But yeah, I don't think ace queen was profitable called here. And limping, well, I'm not that much ahead of the big blind, so I think I go for the shove. It's a bit risky, but ooh, no 9. Nice, some justice. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the villain calls with big ace. It's actually a spot where which I could check. I think it was such stack setup that folding ace queen would have been better option for the villain. But we can check it out. I should have bet bit bigger actually. Bottom right. If betting. But we probably saved some chips, and trapping here. I check call flop, check call turn, and check river. This Wilongi guy likes to fire as well, so, and he has a really crappy top pair. So that's the reason why it's nice to check against such guys that they can basically be bluffing. Let's hope that the big blind doesn't call again. They can you allow them to bluff, but they can also value bet way too thin. Especially when he bombs it with pot size bet. It's like almost impossible for me to call with weaker hand. Please don't call. It's definitely plus EV shove, but don't really want to see the call. But if sucking out, then of course everything is good. And we do hit the plus. Yeah, I will be betting here, and if someone shoves, it's not really awesome, but would have been mandatory call because of the pot odds, And still having flush even if it's small one. 2 point half PP raise. Well, I think King 8 is still too strong to be folded. And when I have the King of Spade, I will actually go for check call line because there is almost no bad turn cards. Like even if the spade comes, now I have the possibility for flush draw as well. But I think this is a reasonable hand to just check because it's actually sort of low in my hand ranking overall. Well, not low, but like middle strength. So by checking, I can have some clear check call hands. And ahead with the king, and it's holding. That was the good timing to win the heads up. Well, it seems like we finally started to get a lot of action. I think I actually just go for c-bet and call if he shoves because most of the time he doesn't have that ace, and I definitely have some clear value from just getting some weaker hands to fold as well. And pretty crappy flop on the top right, especially against two limp callers. Especially against two limp callers. I could 3-bet the jack 7 because if big blind is sitting out, but it's not really spot I prefer to attack with total trash usually. Because it's pretty plausible that the villain is not believing it either. This is also kind of spot where I would usually just fold because of the small blind sitting out, I think it's more plausible that the villain is making moves. And now we actually have the practical nuts. And I don't really see a point in villain 3-bet here. It doesn't really make any sense in my opinion to 3-bet that sort of hand. And pretty nice check shove candidate on the top left. Of course, leading has some merit in a way that it might go check quite often, and there might be some ugly cards coming. And queen 7 is simply too strong to fold, but I think I just go for call. I think ace 9 might be best to just open shove in that, because I think it's probably a bit weak to be inducing, and raise folding suck as well. Trying to bluff with the blockers on the bottom left. Vilungi is sitting out on the 50 euro. 25 and 50 euros in registration. I think I prefer just checking on the top right. If it goes check, we can think about DLHC, but I'm just worried that the big blind hits so well on that set. And it's sort of hands that I definitely don't want to be really see that folding either if that check raise happens to come. Nine five is okay shoving hand. We actually win. Question is, do we get enough games running, or is it necessary to take 10 euro ones? That'd be nice shoving hand with the 10 jack off, but can't really 3-bet shove against the button open. And really strong hit on the top right. No action. 6-7 suited. I think I go for min raise. Shoving is probably bit minus EV or really borderline. This guy makes way too small 3-bet, so let's call. And this guy makes cold call against the 3-bet. Unfortunately, a high flop. There are some draw possibilities, but I think his range should be weighted probably too much toward AXs, so maybe okay to just fold. This guy was making small 3-bet, so I think I just check back here. Oh, well, not the greatest turn card. Was planning to bet blank turn. Yeah, we can bet or raise on the river and hope that the villain doesn't understand that it's always split pot. Might happen sometimes. And it's free roll to try it anyway, so. Jack and shooter mandatory shove. Had flush had flush draw, but hit the pair. Again, same hand. This guy limps again. You I try to see that smallish on the bottom right. It's really dry flop. Well, I would be really surprised if the villain has jack, but can't really call anyway. board 3 is fine to shove. Pretty much the bottom of my shoving range with suited stuff. So I would shove pretty much any suited hand almost. Well, it's basically better than some like deuce 8 or that type of stuff, because it's still connected. I had weaker Jack X. Well, practical match on the top left. Queen 10. I think I go for open shove because I can put huge ICM pressure against that guy. I don't really want to slow play. I can definitely check back some of it, but I would use a bit bigger flushes because it is still going to be a bit vulnerable flush. Oh Jesus, what board run? Now he sounds the river or something like that. Yeah. Oh well, I suppose I have to fold. So ready to ship the river or whatever. Oh Jesus. Nasty stuff. Pretty close to any 2 spot on the top left. Not sure if it's like quite any 2 on the Nash, but really close anyway. That was one horrible call on the top right. King 8 suited against bit over 10 big blind shove. That's the definition of how to burn money. I'm definitely not folding H5 here. I think I actually go for check shove against him. He's so often doing some weird stuff. Unfortunately, he wasn't value betting this time. If I remember correctly, he tends to raise really often against the limp, so that's why I just folded the 10-5 suited. Oh, well, I might remember wrong, and it was someone else. Well, do we get the check raise? No. No check raise possibility. And yeah, it's going to be shove on the river. Hopefully he doesn't have deuce or something like that. Well, seems like we have the best hand unless he's slow rolling. Some premium hands. I don't really like to shovel with the pocket sixes either. That will be open shove and ace king will be stack off. Well, quite a setup. Quite a setup. Well, he didn't shove, but we flopped the nuts. Of course, it's going to be a bit hard to get value, probably. Of course, we can have some, of course, even king x, but probably mostly some weaker king x if that's gonna happen. And I can't fold top pair here on the top right. Unfortunately, he had the better one. Just too strong hand to be folded. Okay, and set up on the top left. Blah. Blah blah. Fourth in. Would have been nice hand to shove, but I probably don't have fold equity against, or very tiny amount of fold equity against the limper, so have to fold. Well, let's go for the C bet. Yeah, that was something I thought might happen quite often. And another run into nuts. Well, we are actually on some profit at this point from the session if counting the buy-ins. Buy-ins from tees. On the bottom right, that small raise looks really strong. Yeah, not too surprising. it's like basically Willem can't be raise folding and he's raising small, like please call. This whale still calls from small blind. And pocket queens will be obviously stack off, especially against this whale. This time he actually had a strong hand. Oh Jesus. Call with pocket threes and flop the set. Lane chooses the worst possible option pre-flop and flops the set. Well, at least he probably thinks that it was genius line, if nothing else. 4 BP raise. Well, I don't really want to be stacking off pre-flop here. Though maybe against that guy it would be reasonable. Four players on both 20 and 5 and 50 euro. When 6 shooter I would have shoved at the bottom right. Probably some 9-8 off. Well, I just check fold probably. And queen 9, I have only 4 BP behind, so I think I have to call here. Some luck now. Nope. Nope! I think I just shove. Like you can make the small 4-bet, but then what happens is often that the people will call and not shove, and then you are going to get into some awkward situations. And pocket 9s will be 3-bet here. Blind versus blind. And yeah, I think I have to stack off. This is one of those guys that might be also 4-bet folding. And like if I call here, of course the good side is that if he is making white 4-bet, we can actually keep his range wider, but at the same time it's not like we are that often going to make or get away of the hand, unless it comes like some bad flop, which is quite easily happening with the pocket 9s. Pocket 9s overall, and we might also end up making bad folds post flop. So basically I would prefer to just call with some of the bigger pockets, but not that much with pocket nines. Of course, the downside is that the lane forward calling range is probably going to be at widest something like ace queen plus, pocket nines plus or something. So that's the clear downside of it. And we are again against the Eagle Maniac on the bottom left. What size? Nine was kind of crappy. Problem is that he probably has so many bluffs still. I would usually fold here, but he's not. How fucking lucky these guys can be. 3 outer. Well, I won't really get better 10x or queen x to fold on the top left, so hopefully he has some sort of weaker draw. 3 pocket threes, seriously. Oh well. Like, what the heck are these guys thinking? So fucking absurd, in my opinion. Well, I think on the bottom right we have to bluff out this combo. Of course, would be nicer to have the nut flush draw, but and on the outer table against the Vilungi, went for check raise on the flop bet turn and shove river. No action. Any more? Interesting board on the top left. Now let's give up. It's just that I don't necessarily see too many straight combos on the villain pre-flop range, but at the same time he is quite kind of fizzy wreck, so he can make some stupid pre-flop calls. So it's not like you can discount quite as many 9x from his range than you would against more decent opponents. In general. And I think I stack off against the Vilungi. We are a bit over 20 pp deep, so it's not the greatest outcome, but I was expecting that he's probably 3-betting decent amount of time, and he has pretty much total crap, but that's the problem, that The garbage stuff can easily hit or be in good shape against pocket fives. But yeah, he tried to spew it off, but wasn't able to do it. Made quite a hero call on the outer table. I think we can, well, it's going to be pretty thin, I think. Yeah, I think it's probably best to just check back. Yeah, I think I have to call the ace king here. 7-5 nuts. Yeah, he can have some semi-bluffs, so my hand can be good, and it's usually less likely that they have anything like straight or two pair or set or anything like that when they make that type of donk bet. Obviously, totally horrendous play from the villain pre-flop, at least. When do I remember that don't? Well, it was fine check, but would have probably checked anyway, but don't put the replayers here. Well, it works pretty nice looking. We have the practical nuts. And he's going to make pretty questionable play with the top pair. So what was the pre-flop? Pre-flop in that ace-king hand. So yeah, he called from the small blind and calls my 3-bet out of position. It's 7-5. Two ace-kings on the top list and I beat both of them. Well, some run good as well. But yeah, when you see that sort of player in €50 game, that 7-5 guy, it's never a bad thing. 7-5. Yeah, I was planning to show the hero call hand once I have what have been so much action now. Pretty deep on the top left in the heads up. And for the BB deep I can't really be calling a7 off. And heads up on the bottom left as well. And definitely calling that one. Oh well, that's another example of horrendous line, but of course I have calling hand and have to stack off. But like, doesn't really make any sense to be. Yeah, I have to stack off here if I bet. I have the double gutshot plus overcard. Was hoping that to create some fold equity, but no luck. No luck. Yeah, I think I just check and keep the Jack X in my checking range. It's not bad spot to don't bet river either, because villain is going to be checking such big portion of his range, but at the same time, like if you always don't bet the Jack X, then you are going to weaken the checking range. A lot of outs on the bottom right, but no hit. It's pretty thin value on the top left, but oh well, did he really run into runner trips? Calling 300 on the turn with 6x, of course it's possible, but I don't block any of the, or most of the. And he had 2 fucking outs. Oh, sorry for cursing. 2 outs, like seriously. Oh well. Had the queen come on the river, the end result would have probably been that I could have stacked off him. Pretty unfortunate river. Yeah, it wasn't mandatory value bet on the river by any means, but I think it was reasonable. And like I was thinking about that, he's probably, or he could be folding some portion of time. Some portion of time with the bottom pair on the turn, so it's not like he necessarily have all the 6 X's in his range. And I wasn't blocking much of his possible drawing hands from the turn, so and blank river on the top right I will be calling, and I think we can. He might have 10x, but I think this is still a mandatory value bet on the river. Queen X would be absurdly tight passive from the villain. Yeah, I think I played these to the end and stopped after that. Was sauna evening as well, so I often don't play quite as long sessions on those days. And yeah, I have to call here, I think, with the top pair and one better kicker. Well, that was nice looking river on the bottom left, because if the villain was slow playing like 7-6 or something, we beat it at this point. I think pretty crappy heads up run, at least overall. Oh, well, that was ugly board run. 50 chips. probably still going to be behind too often. Was thinking about check calling the top right as well, but and in here it's pretty decent spot to see bet. Dry flop, and we have okay. We have nice backdoor stuff. So yeah, it was this hand. So I open raise. Let's try to semi-bluff on the top right. And this is basically one of the most reasonable bluff combos for the river. Fold. 9-8. So he calls it. Sec calls the turn with cutshots. Oh Jesus! Every fish place is rewarded. Yeah, doesn't make sense to bet himself. Maybe he was calling for the showdown value then. Pretty crappy river, but yeah, let's just try to check the showdown. If I had some relevant blocker with the 5x, I would probably try to turn the bluff, but this time it was enough. Luckily he didn't try to bluff with the plus blocker. So yeah, I open raised here. Actually, accidentally went check on the flop. Then went for small c-bet, which should have been on the flop already. Little lane calls, and then he just don't shoves the river. And it just looked so weird line that I once again decided to hero call. He actually had ace high, which had zero reason to be turned into bluff. And yeah, I think 9 high flush, I just had to call. Oh well. Once again, totally horrible line. And here as well, totally horrendous call. Like, what the fuck is this guy as well thinking once again? There is raise, he has raise call and he shoves. But like 7 big blinds. So he has zeros fold equity and he shoves 6-7 off. Very reasonable play. Oh well. Yeah, let's take the image from that bubble spot. But yeah, as you saw here, he's a really fishy Reki player. this wreck, so to say. Basically, if we cash either of these, it's going to be at least a little bit profitable. Profitable session. Yesterday was actually pretty decent, which I think it was a bit over 300 euro. Euro on the plus side. Decently playable hand, but against 3 BP open, I can't really call. Against Mingrace I would have defended. Well, let's play this promotion stuff. Well, a smaller stack I will go with the 9-3 shooter. Not going to be in S range. So basically you just click one of the options and you have like, at least it seems like you have 50-50 chance. Of course it's not guaranteed that it's really 50-50, but probably it is, because you need to win like, I think something like 5 to 6 times or something to actually win something decent. So the chance to win like 5 flips in a row is not going to be that high. Now I think we got the free roll ticket. And the only gold key went with first flip. Yeah, seems pretty low value promotion. Let's just try to stack the pot down on top right without any club. Oh well, and no club. Would have called against shove as well. I don't think ace-9 is again that great of a like limp trapping hand, to be honest. So one takeling. Oh, we actually had one more silver key. Well, that was quick. So yeah, you can see here that you would need 7 flip wins. I think it was on the or was it 6 flip wins to get the first prize. So 2 times you win with 25%, so it's 12.5, 6.12, 3 points, so it's around like 1.5% of time if it's really flipped. 1.5% of time roughly to get to the end. So not too big chance. And Monster Hand waking up behind. Not mandatory open by any means, but I think it's reasonable. Reasonable one. Well, doesn't look too good. So if not cashing on this one, it's going to be like 30 euro on the minus side. So basically break even more or less. But yeah, I think I lost quite a few of the heads ups. Heads ups as well. Well, now we have great hands to try to double up. And river is not a friend. Okay. Yeah, I think if I continue on Tuesday, it's probably best to start the session a bit later at least. Because it seems like those bigger games are not running on the earlier time. And it seems like 50 euros also died at this point and some 25 euros running, but yeah, that was the session for today. Actually some profit in the SNCs, but lost 50 euro on that MTT with some questionable hero calling with the first buy-in. But yeah, we'll be streaming probably at least next Tuesday, if not before, but bye for now.